what you have to understand, if you weren't around back then, is that when video games first started messing around with 3D graphics, nothing else mattered. It was like we all lost our goddamn minds. We were too hypnotized by these magical polygons to notice anything else, and that led to some crappy games in the 90s. I feel like someone should apologize for that. I'm not going to. So, yes, a lot of the early pseudo 3D games haven't aged all that well, especially some of the ones that came about for the Super Nintendo, and I fully expected this to be one of them, like a sad reminder of a time when even bad 3D was considered better than awesome 2D, but surprisingly, Spectre defied my expectations. So this game was originally released back in 1991 on the Mac. It would come to the Super Nintendo just a few years later, and that's the version we're playing here. And it's really interesting to play this thing more than 2 decades later, because although this is obviously one of those quintessentially 90s premature polygon love fests, the game beneath all that is actually kind of cool.
Level complete.
So you drive this tank around this primitive 3D world. I'm not sure if it felt this way in 1991, but playing it now, the Spectre has this almost creepy vibe. It's got that dark, simple representation of a computerized 3D world. Quiet, bleak, and barren. And obviously that's due to the limitations of the tech, but the aesthetic result is still awesome. It almost reminds me of the 1986 game, The Sentinel. And as for the gameplay, it's kind of like a less dated take on the old vector game, Battlezone. You're under heavy fire from other tanks as you try to collect all the flags scattered across each level. Do that, and you move on. And along the way, you can either choose to engage the enemy, or just go for the flags. And a lot of that depends on what kind of tank you chose. Before each game, you get to choose one with preset characteristics, things like armor, speed, and ammo. Or you can customize your own. For example, adding more armor means that you can take more damage, but you're also going to be slower, so there's actually some strategy here too. If you grew up with 3D games as the standard, you probably don't see the magic in games like Spectre. And for all the coolness of its minimalist vibe, there's no denying it's largely because the game's just so rudimentary. But honestly, Spectre surprised me. Now that all its technical flashiness has worn off, all that remains is a video game. Cool, addictive, and surprisingly functional. Huge thanks to our friend Ben from New York for sending us this classic look at the future from the past in the present. Not even sure how that works.
Game over.